robot sat beneath a tree not far from the excessively croaking frogs, his elbow resting on his knee. Pensive, lost, overwhelmed by the beauty of the stars and the scent of moss. His mustard gold mechanical body, modeled on the anatomy of a young boy, shimmered faintly in the lights of the village across the lake. He sat motionless. He could hear the soft murmur drifting over the surface of the water. Thump, thump, footsteps. Someone was walking along the hilly road. In a moment they would pass by the young stranger. He remained still, so as not to be noticed. The person returning from the village, passing the old oak, saw that someone was there.
Warm night. One could sleep under the oak, couldn't one?
Indeed, warm and pleasant miss, which side of the lake will get me to that village faster?
That's not a lake. It's a bay. The only road goes right, always right. Better 3 rights than 1 left.
The robot did not laugh, but replied.
That's a good one.
The person stepped closer. The robot magically brightened the aura of light around himself so he could be seen clearly.
So you are a robot. I suspected it from the voice. I've never seen a robot bloating under a tree. Did your master drive you away?
The robot was silent.
Or maybe you're malfunctioning. Sorry that I'm asking. I'm coming back from a meeting with friends.
The robot leaned his face toward the girl. She saw a robot with large eyes, distinct yet gentle features along the edges. Thousands of tiny, barely visible lights shimmered. For a moment she sobered, staring at the machine. In a calm, tender voice, the robot said, The robot calmly closed his eyes and after a moment said,
I know young wine. You are celebrating the feast of young wine. You observe it on the 3rd Thursday of November. Considering the development of the fruit on those walnuts and those celery fields, today must be November 15th. Year 15, 381.
You're good. Maybe that's the date where you're from.
But here it's December 11th. Year 713, Rygna.
Eridu. They sat together beneath the tree.
The sky is truly spectacular here, because it's far from the city.
Yes, I dreamed for many years of seeing this sky.
I've only ever seen this sky.
You've never left the northern hemisphere?
I've never left this village. You've never left this village? How old are you? 15. I've been neither here nor there, neither up nor down.
Surprised, Eridu fell silent for a moment, looking into her eyes.
And you? Where have you been? That you're so astonished now.
I have only been on our native Engies.
Why are you so surprised that I don't travel?
Because I am a robot, I have all of humanity's knowledge uploaded to my drive. It is as if I have been everywhere!
Then tell a story, one you really love, one that concerns this world.
I could begin in so many places.
Start with the oldest story you have in your database.
Eridu narrowed his eyes in disbelief.
That's not part of the story.
It is. Please, tell it.
forest was wrapped in a dense fog, a gray-violet twilight impossible to describe or recreate. There are no such colors on any palette, fragrant, black and terrifying, only it matched the gravity and brutality of my pursuers. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, half blind, constantly glancing back over my shoulder. I stopped for a moment to catch my breath. I could hear them running, but I couldn't see them. Don't stop! I kept running, following the map! I was very close, but in that damn fog. I heard gunshots. Flares began to light up the sky above the treetops. Fortunately, far away from me. The target had to be very close, yet almost nothing was visible. Then I saw a tiny cottage wrapped in trees, cobwebs and moss. In a life-threatening moment, when one should focus only on survival, my strange brain thought, what beautiful architecture for a house the size of 2 portable guard booths. I burst inside, a motion sensor light flicked on. The interior was filled with beautiful objects that drew the eye. Small 4-pane windows, little paintings, a wooden desk, a fireplace, ornaments, everything strangely small and untouched for decades, yet without any signs of aging. Where is this place? I searched for the black powder gun, a powder pistol, just as Arno had instructed me in the background. I could hear the officers running after me. I rummaged through tiny cabinets and drawers, but there was no weapon stop. It's already too late, I thought. I turned around and saw a beautiful little frog sculpture on the wooden wall. The frog was a small door set into the wall. There! I took out the weapon and loaded a cartridge marked with my name. Through the window I saw a soldier running in the distance. He stopped to aim and fire! First shot, he missed. I aimed slowly, for the first time in my life at another human being. Second shot, something rang sharply as the bullet ricocheted among the clutter on the desk, and I felt pain in my side. Now or never! I fired straight between his eyes! A ringing filled my ears after the shot, drowning everything else out! The soldier fell onto the moss like a puppet and vanished into black smoke after the black powder blast! At that moment, I heard the noise of an elevator. The entire cottage began to sink into the ground. At first slowly, then faster and faster above my head, I heard something like an airlock slamming shut, and I could see nothing anymore. I could only hear my own heavy breathing and the smell of smoke and the roar of the accelerating lift. I felt the pull of gravity, almost as if the elevator were falling from a high beta straight onto weightlessness. I closed my eyes. That was when I saw her for the first time. Though from very far away, she sat upon her holy throne against a background of stars. They call it Hazel. It lasted perhaps several dozen seconds, maybe a few minutes. I don't know. The elevator began to brake violently, slowing more and more until the motion stopped completely. I opened my eyes as the elevator doors opened, and there I was, inside the small, drafty cottage. Fresh air began to pour in through a shuttered window. I pushed open the creaking door of the hut, and then winked on Hogwarts, warning of what I was about to say.
My senses sharpened instantly, and my pupils widened as the door opened. A vast, elongated hall stretched before me, illuminated by 10 rows of small lanterns. My strange mind, still in shock, began counting the number of lamps in a row, 28. All of them floated evenly in the air. It was cool and humid, yet comfortable, as if some kind of air conditioning was running. The elevator doors closed behind me, and it slowly dawned on me that I had escaped death. I was the only one from the Resistance who was safe. But was I really? At the far end of the hall, about a kilometer away, I saw 2 people. Holding my breath, I could hear them talking. I started walking toward them. An echo spread through the hall, pistol into the backpack, steady the breathing, act natural. The closer I got, the clearer their voices became. But it wasn't the language I knew, it sounded related somehow, yet strange. They saw me. "Hey, people," I shouted. Both of them froze instantly. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the man slowly reached for something hanging at his belt. My muscles tightened for a second. I thought it was a weapon. Instead, he simply leaned closer to the girl and whispered something. Then he laughed and said, "Ah, you come fra Brahma, eh?" I didn't understand most of it, but that one word stuck with me. They began walking toward me, still talking to each other. Ask him, maybe det on kino. Maybe, oh maybe just under a drew. I responded, "I am Emerald, a child of Iskra, a warrior of the Resistance." A long silence followed. We stood facing each other. The man was enormous and appeared welcoming. The woman was tiny and was looking down. Det, sunt ik les breach. One of them said slowly, "Oh, Spreech," the other muttered. Then the first one stepped forward. "Name Sambarai, God the Brahma." With every sentence, their language seemed closer to my own. I asked, "Is the Brahma the elevator with the little house that I came in?" Sambar laughed. "Yes, that one is Brahma." He pointed past me. "But also, that one before you, and what is before me?" I looked at the other person. It was a girl, and she seemed slightly frightened. Sambar answered, "One of the underground duchies named Kraśniew." "The Duchy of Kraśniew?" I said slowly. My brain was already beginning to ignore the linguistic differences. "I have so many questions." Finally, the girl spoke. "You still have the pistol?" "In my backpack. The Brahma not open without shot from that weapon. Are you arresting me?" "We take you to the Duke this Erlag day for Underheim." I turned to her. "Tell me one more thing. What's your name?" She answered, "Now it is said."
dozen or so breathless AB officers had gathered above a sealed hatch. "We're opening it," one of them said. He was sweating, his fingers trembled on the rifle. "Don't move," another growled. "We're waiting for orders." "Orders?" the first one snorted. "The thief is right beneath us." "Just try to touch that hatch." The rifle snapped up in an instant. A shot tore through the noise of helicopters and shouting. A body fell onto the wet leaves. For a few seconds, no one moved. Well. Everyone stood at attention upon hearing the familiar voice. From the dense mist cut through by flashlights, a young lieutenant emerged. He wore a gray-blue armor. His helmet covered his entire face. The lieutenant stepped among them. Lieutenant the thief. The lieutenant aimed and fired. The body fell onto its back. No one even flinched. The lieutenant nodded. Return to base. The unit disappeared into the mist almost immediately. General. This is Lieutenant Bellamore Mistros. I'm at Sector LJ853973. He spoke inside the perfectly soundproof helmet. The thief escaped through the tunnel. Scanners lost contact at 20:03:19. He's at least a kilometer underground. The team is returning. Short by 3 by evening. It will be 4. A calm voice responded in his earpiece. Return to base. The lieutenant ended the call and looked at the hatch. He whispered, "I'm glad you made it." A young, broad-shouldered man with brown hair, a cold face, and a piercing gaze. Adjutant, submit a request for access to data LJ853973, full clearance. Yes, sir. And add me to the expedition team. We're going underground. The adjutant hesitated. Sir, that's an order. Yes, sir. Bellamore stepped out onto the terrace of Eagle Military Base. The city was drowning in smog. Military aircraft circled above it. Now or never, he said quietly. Either I find him, or I end up like Renveith had. Hedwiga, don't sneak up on me. The woman stood in the shadows, helmet under her arm, a faint smile on her lips. Greater computational power than all other systems combined, he made only one mistake, which was, he believed he controlled everything. Bellamore looked at her coldly. Ren Ikes will go live in 5 months by then. I'll capture the thief alive with the artifact. And if you don't know what the artifact is, I don't need to. Hedwiga stepped closer. It's a narrative, an artificially constructed history. One that can turn people against authority. Authority will endure. Billamore replied calmly. Why do you believe that? Because rebellions are born and die, and the United Republic is eternal. For a moment there was silence, broken by the roar of a transport drone taking off nearby. And you? She asked. Are you eternal too? He didn't answer. He turned and walked back inside the building. The terminal lit up as he approached. He paused at the forest report. Time of signal loss. The screen flickered. For a fraction of a second, a message appeared. Priority increased. Compliance with the Covenant. 92%. Hedwiga entered. What's down there? Billamore narrowed his eyes, realizing she's asking about the elevator. I don't know, but it has to be something big. Something we don't control. She smiled faintly. Not yet, my dear. Not yet.
Wait, Eridu. Rygna interrupted. If that's the oldest story in your database, then either the artifact was lost or it actually wasn't true. And that's sad. I don't like sad stories. Her firmness revealed something deeper, not just beauty, but precision. She was in her element when she searched for truth. And the scent, flowers, youth, incense, and wine, layered, almost overwhelming. Eridu exhaled before responding, as if recalibrating. You're perceptive. There is a third possibility, which I won't reveal just yet. Reassured, Rygna leaned her head against the tree, gazing into Eridu's eyes. She had long, loose blonde hair and wore a traditional rural dress. Eridu looked at the dress, then into her eyes for an uncomfortably long moment. Finally, he said, "You come from a wealthy household, don't you?" The girl sighed. "I'm in OEP. OEP? In our country, intelligent and beautiful people are enrolled in OEP, the obligatory eugenics program. My role is to have a large family. To raise many intelligent people, work is handled by robots and others. We cultivate the land for our own use, but we don't have to. It's just a way to spend time. A tradition. So, genetic engineering is forbidden. Rygna interrupted. Different countries, different customs. Intelligence among the Tam stars. The group I belong to has been increasing by 1% per generation for centuries. At this point, I've got hiccups because I'm cold. Do you have anything to warm me up? Eridu, move closer to her. Lean against my arm, I'll heat it. Rygna wrapped her arms around Eridu's arm and was surprised that it wasn't metallic. It felt more like a heated stone known from the ritual of the stake night, the summer solstice. Shall I continue? Of course. Rygna shot back immediately. I definitely won't fall asleep. I won't wake you. Because I won't fall asleep! Emerald, Sumbor, and Sen left the hall. Stop, Rygna shouted. What happened? Something doesn't add up. She furrowed her fair brows and looked at him closely. One state underground realm's an artifact. And that name, Emerald. A brief pause. I know that name, it's feminine. So why would a man bear it? Eridu remained silent.
one more thing, she added. If this really happened a very long time ago, why does everything sound so familiar? She raised her head. These elements don't fit together. This isn't one story, it's several, stitched together.
Silence hung between them.
A logical conclusion, Eridu finally said. But an incorrect one. Rygna flinched.
Eridu looked at her longer than before
and said slowly, "This is not the first time you've heard this story. I've never heard it." Consciously, he replied. They looked at each other in silence for a moment. "I assure you, Rygna, once I finish telling it, everything will become clear," Eridu said at last, turning his gaze away. There was a sharp, detective-like focus in Rygna's eyes. "Now, you have my full attention. Go on."
Eridu gave a slight nod. Emerald, Sumbor and Sen left the hall and descended the endless spiral staircase, going deeper and deeper,
Deeper and deeper, Rygna repeated softly.
deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper. I saw Sumbor smiling, practically eager to talk, and Sen withdrawn, looking down at her feet. Sumbor began. People on the surface know nothing about us. We are not allowed to send any information to the surface. That is the first rule of all people of the underground. Communication would mean immediate war and the death of billions of people of the underground at the hands of the world government. Sen added, "And what's the second rule?" "There isn't one," she replied. We descended a spiral staircase. The walls grew farther apart, and between the flights stood a massive cone covered in images flowing into one another. At first, there was a man in white opening a door.
Who is that?
The father of the nations of the underground. Sumbor answered with pride. He saved us from the vengeance of the people on the surface. The images grew darker, soldiers emerging from underground. War, lava pouring into vast chambers, hunger. I had to look away.
What happened to you after that?
Only those who found the open halls survived.
You didn't build them?
The first open halls were already here, Sumbor said, along with technology that stabilizes pressure and temperature.
Were those halls empty?
Almost completely, Sen added. Another image appeared, a man standing in a gate similar to the one I had passed through.
Who is that?
The last traveler from the surface, Sumbor continued.
When did he arrive?
In the year 125-3, that is 1875 years ago, Sen answered immediately. By the basilisk's fire! I shouted! Sumbor and Sen looked at me with alarm. I saw my mother's face, my friend, my girl, my comrades from the resistance. General Arno reaching out his hand. The echo faded. I understood. There was no way back. After a moment, I frowned and looked at them with quiet defiance, as if to say that remained to be seen. Why were you chosen to come here? Sen asked, ignoring my emotions. Did you bring anything with you? Before I could gather my thoughts, the stairs ended. Massive doors began to open. 3 horizontal jaws, 3 vertical ones, and 1 shaped like a star. What I saw next made my pupils widen. I froze. It was an entirely new world. The hall was so vast that from high above the buildings you could see the horizon and the slight curvature of the ground. I saw beautiful white structures, lakes, strange vehicles moving on wheels and on legs, and aircraft I had never seen before. Everything pulsed with life, illuminated by thousands of colored points of light. Closer, I saw glowing trees, enormous sculptures, and colorful reliefs carved into the walls. It was beautiful, only the sky was missing. In its place was a blue, endlessly sculpted wall, softly glowing. So this is the Duchy of Kraśniew? I asked. This is one of its halls, Sen replied. Summer began! We're going straight to the prince. A new arrival is a major event for the entire underground. He'll want to know how you learned about us and what your purpose is. We've already informed him. Summer's voice began to be drowned out by the approaching roar of a vertical takeoff jet called a jumper.
What is your prince's name?
His Royal Highness! At that moment, the noise of the craft swallowed the rest of Summer's words. The doors opened, and I saw several soldiers motioning for us to come inside.
The doors slid open without a sound. Inside there was movement, but orderly. Advisors spoke in low voices. Soldiers stood motionless. And by a tall window stood the prince. An older man, gray hair, a long reddish beard upright, as if trying to receive all news with dignity. He was looking out over his duchy, not at us.
No, not under these tensions.
He said to his advisors, I will not let them in. Observers could stabilize the situation.
Someone replied calmly.
Observers are the beginning of interference, especially Ursa. The prince answered. He did not turn. Your Highness,
said a soldier,
a visitor from the surface. The prince nodded, as if acknowledging a change in the weather. Welcome him, I'll be with you shortly. And he returned to his discussion. From the side of the hall, someone moved quickly toward us. Sen?
Sen lifted her head.
Rosa. The woman approached and embraced her without hesitation. She was tall, a lightly graying blonde, dressed in a beautiful white and blue gown. She wore fine jewelry and a tiara. I thought I'd never see you again.
Sen stood still for a moment,
then slowly returned the embrace. 9 years. Rosa stepped back and looked at her closely. You're still counting, yes.
Sen barely showed emotion,
but her eyes began to fill with tears. Only then did she look at me. This is Emerald from the surface.
Rosa looked at me.
She smiled.
Time stopped.
In her eyes I saw her.
She was sitting on her throne,
exactly as before. Rosa said something. I didn't hear it. I blinked.
And I was back in the hall.
And she was still looking at me the same way. On the other side of the hall, The prince ended his conversation with a brief gesture. The advisor stepped away at once. He approached us slowly. "Welcome," he said, "Dom Kraśniew."
He did not extend his hand.
Emerald. He studied me briefly, not like a curious man, but like someone checking whether something fits.
A rarity.
He said, "A very rare thing." Silence. "You will stay here," he added, "for now." "Is that an offer or a decision?" I asked. "It is reality."
He replied calmly.
He glanced at Sen, and his posture immediately softened. "It's good to see you well. Were you with him?" "Yes." "Did he bring anything?" She hesitated a fraction too long.
Something important.
The prince shifted his gaze to me and said nothing. From the side of the hall, a priest appeared, a triangular hood, face hidden. He approached silently and leaned toward the prince. He whispered something. His voice sounded
Unnatural.
as if played backward. The prince did not react immediately. "I understand," he said at last, still looking at me. "Get some rest. It's peaceful here."
The prince glanced once more out the window.
"And may it remain so." He turned away, troubled, and returned to his advisors.
The conversation resumed at once.
As if we had never entered, Samba pulled me out of the hall, while Sen remained staring at Princess Rosa. Beside her, "Everyone looks awkward," he said dreamily. I looked at him seriously.
I didn't come here to be a prisoner.
Not even for a minute. She fell asleep beneath the oak. He noticed and stayed quiet. He looked up at the night sky. "Listen, my poem." Once with a whip, just one strike in the night. The cold eye turned to blood, lost its clear, frozen sight. It saw his chariot first. God of storms in the night, God of storms of the black, raging night. He fled down to the sea, to the edge of the foam. Saul called eastern winds, it's a trap, don't go home. Eastern winds, they were crying the same. It's a trap, echo burned like a flame. And the night it exploded in fire and in light. Farewell old twins, and the tears shining bright, unroded in luminous, sorrowful streams. Farewell old twins, farewell lost dreams. Ancient paths, every hidden old way, secret names of the rivers no tongue dares to say. Will the young ever hear? Will they turn? Will they see? Or just drift far away from what used to be?
crying soft, laughing low. Not like me, not like me. No, not I, child of oak, rooted deep, standing still. Child of oak, bound to earth, bound to will. Fire remembers, blood remembers, heart remembers, man forgets. On her sacred throne in space, Agape laughed in endless grace. Eros braided rings of flame, Philo's fertile, soft and tame.
Fire remembers,
Blood remembers,
heart remembers,
man forgets.
Before them stood a Titan tall, bare-chested, hard, he feared no fall. Steaks he ate and skipped the bread. Honor rules the world, he said. No mercy for the weak or torn, only strength and pride are sworn. Fire remembers,
Blood remembers,
heart remembers, man forgets.
Agnes, glory, strength and pride, that lovers never lived inside. Why keep all your zealots near? Love alone gives life down here.
Fire remembers,
Blood remembers,
heart remembers, man forgets. Enough of empty words tonight. I forged a trial like Iskra bride. I'll send our daughter down to earth to learn what gives a people worth.
if she walks the path of pride or follows love she holds inside, then at last we all shall see which one shapes humanity. Fire remembers, blood remembers,
Heart remembers, man forgets.
love will win, not honor's hand, not the fist that rules the land. Without sorrow, without lies, without tears immortalized.
So they sent Hedwiga down to the world beneath the crown.
Engines unlike Iskra bride, and suddenly Rygna woke in fright. Then quietly, still breathing hard, she looked at Eridu and asked, who is Dima? Who is Dima? Rygna asked. Eridu sat comfortably, a roguish smile appeared on his face. She is a figure important to the later part of this story, but... Here Eridu paused, and Rygna realized what he was about to say. I haven't mentioned Dima at all yet. Narrowed her eyes. That's impossible, you're trying to trick me. Her breathing did not slow. If she is part of this story, then who is her mother? Eridu's smile faded slightly. If you already know, and I say it aloud, will that convince you your Hamir is awakening? Hamir?
your spiritual armor conscious memory. The robot paused again, as if preparing for an unexpected reaction. According to the sources available to me, Dima has 3 mothers, Philos, Eros, and Agape. Rygna did not understand what was happening to her. She heard everything as though stunned. No, you're lying to me. She began running home as fast as she could, for several minutes without stopping. Suddenly, she saw the sun above the bay. The sky still glowed with the palette of dawn colors, but one thing caught her attention. One of those colors she had never seen before, and could not name something that once blended into gray now appeared as an unnamed shade of gray-violet. She walked on in confusion until she caught the scent of phosphorus. Lightning must have struck a tree nearby. She reached the village and saw familiar faces. Yet, whenever she looked at someone, she immediately felt either sympathy or aversion. She stopped and realized there were deeper emotions stirring within her as well. Rygna, it's good to see you. Your mother was asking about you. Is everything all right? A young woman approached her. Rykins, it's good to see you too. Rygna looked at her and felt her worry, curiosity, and excitement. I'm all right, Nav asked you on a date, didn't he? Rykins stood smiling. You don't have to prove how perceptive you are. Everyone already knows. Rygna replied softly. I'm happy for you. I feel that you'll be happy with him. Rykins laughed. Dear one, the time for divinations isn't until next week. Yet, as she said it, Rygna only greeted her with a smile and continued on, staring at the village as though she were seeing it for the first time. Several days passed. All the villagers were occupied with repairing robots, slaughtering livestock, and taking inventory. Rygna's home was no exception. I love this house, Rygna said. It feels so full. My daughter, replied a thin older woman lovingly. That alone was enough for Rygna, but she kept listening. Your father and I are worried about you. Lately, you've been different. You do your duties without being reminded. You stare at trees and people. You met someone, didn't you? Rygna embraced her mother and then looked into her eyes. Yes, I did. I'll see him again today, on the way to the cape near the old oak. If you want, tomorrow I'll introduce him to you both. You'll like him. Those words and the quiet certainty in Rygna's posture transformed the worry on her mother's face into a smile. I have 8 children, she said softly, but only one firstborn daughter. You will tell me everything tomorrow. Eridu sat beneath the tree and once more lost himself in thoughts of the sunset. His peace was interrupted by a voice. Go on.
I heard a voice from behind the door. Get up. We're going to be late for the ritual. I I opened the door. Somber pushed his way inside his red and gold outfit, decorated with spirals, would have drawn attention, even at the great princely market. Somber. The last few days have already been a chain of insane adventions. The Ferns's diplomats, the market, the temple. This was then I told you about it. Be a man. Do it for Sen and for me. I looked at him indifferently. You promised me a conversation with the high priest. Will he be at this ritual? Of course not. Why? Do you people on the surface know only one religion? I do not insult your Iskra. I believe you truly encountered her. But trust me, who will be there? I will. Somber. You are testing me. I stared at him. He had a pleading expression on his face. Blood was dripping from his nose, and it was obvious he had put great effort into dressing himself in that strange red robe. Somber wanted to dress me in ceremonial clothing, but I refused because I wanted to keep the artifact with me at all times. After a long walk toward the edge of the hall, we reached a massive slope above which there was only the wall. A wide entrance carved into the hillside revealed a large circular chamber, where Sen stood in the center, dressed in white with a blackbird perched on her shoulder, while people of all ages, dressed either in white or black, stood around her. Up, said a guard who, while searching us, nearly found my artifact. Countless candles placed on walls, shelves illuminated reliefs of roots. Everyone was chanting a mantra I could not understand at all. Rhythmic thundering around Sen. I saw 7 unlit candles. I looked around at the crowd. Almost everyone had their eyes fixed on the woman in the center. Someone in the crowd shouted something, interrupting the mantra. I failed to notice that the candles had begun lighting one after another. For a moment I thought I saw someone I knew from the surface. Prepare yourself now, Somber said. It is time for the voice from the darkness. The 7th candle ignited. Everyone in the crowd sat down except me and one woman on the opposite side of the chamber. That's Hedwiga, I whispered, immediately realizing that if she was here, then other soldiers of the United Republic had to be here as well. No one in this chamber had weapons. Somber pulled me down to the ground. My heart was pounding as the woman between the candles began to speak with a voice far too powerful for someone of her size. The fate of the Duchy of Kraśniew has been spoken. It shall drown in war. All of you shall abandon your homes, and after many years, the duchy shall be reborn to fight the final battle. The crowd gasped, and only Somber shouted in a trembling voice, when will this war come? She turned towards Sumber and answered emotionlessly. The war with Orsa has already begun. And the second war. A sudden wave of panic drowned out the rest of the prophetess's words. At that moment, barely audible sirens echoed from distant outposts. People began running toward us because we were standing near the exit. I lost sight of Hedwiga in the panicking crowd. Somber, and I ran back to the surface. At the far end of the open hall, something like a swarm of black insects began pouring outward in flashes of explosions. White jumpers of various sizes flew toward them. Terrified people ran to their homes. What now? I asked. Somber answered immediately. You must get to the station. He muttered, blood from his nose flooding into his mouth. What? Run away! I want to fight. Trust me, Emerald, Somber said, wiping his lips. Utailo natse I kill. Utailo natse kill. The moment I heard it, I stopped paying attention to the panic of the people, the increasingly louder explosions, and the soldiers of the Republic. War, suffering, destruction, smoke, ash, ruins, time, and in the end, new life. Why must suffering exist? Why must suffering exist? I looked at Summer, drenched in blood, and understood who the guardian of the gate truly was. I understood everything, everything except my own role in it. Among the crowd fleeing the hall, I spotted Hedwiga. Two men joined her. They were walking straight toward me. Black telescopic swords extended from their hands. Now I need your help. I looked at my hand. The air around it thickened and cracked open with green light. A green sword appeared. Surprised, Summer looked at me while holding another identical blade. Summer, this is my gift to you. We began to fight against the backdrop of the growing black locust war. One of the soldiers was not very lucky. He charged at the giant Sumber with the sword raised high. A quick dodge and Sumber cut off his head. At that very moment, Hedwiga drove a blade into Sumber's stomach and walked straight toward me. Sumber remained standing. The second soldier watched him cautiously. My sword collided with hers for all generations. A chaos of fleeing people never ceased. Suddenly a rocket exploded not far from us. Hedwiga did not take her eyes off me for even a moment. You do not understand what you are doing, Emerald. Give me the artifact. Never! Fury, but she fenced like a master. I could feel myself tiring faster than she was. I began gasping for breath. She suddenly stopped and pointed at Summer. You grew to attach to him. She ran straight toward him, while he was occupied with the second soldier. Watch out! She drove the sword into his back. Summer dropped to his knees, facing the entrance to the temple. The soldier rushed at me, but with the last of his strength, Summer grabbed his leg, pulled him closer, and drove the blade into his heart. Then I heard the powerful voice of the woman dressed in white.